Hollywood is shaking again in this time. 50 Cent is lighting the match. In a series of eyebrow-raising comments and cryptic posts, the rap mogul appears to hint at a hidden power dynamic surrounding Will Smith that fans say has been whispered about for years, but never openly addressed. From long-standing rumors involving Alsina to the tragic spiral of Empire star Bryshere. Social media is now connecting dots that were once dismissed as coincidence. Is this really about mentorship or something far more controversial? 50 Cent steps into the conversation. The internet explodes with questions about fame, influence, and what really happens behind Hollywood's closed doors. Supporters argue these are dangerous rumors being recycled for clicks, while others claim there's a disturbing pattern no one wants to confront. Why do certain young stars rise fast then fall even faster? And why does Will Smith's name keep resurfacing whenever these stories resurface? With old interviews resurfacing, cryptic lyrics being reanalyzed, and insiders suddenly speaking out. This controversy is bigger than one man. It's about an industry that protects secrets at all costs. Are these allegations reckless gossip, or the beginning of a truth Hollywood can no longer hide? The answers may change how you see celebrity mentorship forever. In Hollywood, rumors don't just appear out of nowhere, they circulate quietly. For years, whispered in private conversations, buried in blind items, and laughed off as industry talk. But every once in a while, a powerful voice reignites those whispers and pushes them back into the public spotlight. This is exactly what happened when 50 Cent never one to shy away from controversy and a series of comments and social media posts that fans believe were aimed at Will Smith and his inner circle. While 50 never laid out direct accusations, his signature style of trolling and reading between the lines was enough to send the internet into a frenzy. To understand why this moment hit so hard, you have to understand 50 Cent's role in hip-hop and entertainment culture. Curtis 50 Cent Jackson has built a reputation not just as a rapper and businessman, but as someone who openly calls out what he sees as fake, manipulative, or hidden behavior in the industry. From executives to fellow artists, he has repeatedly positioned himself as an outsider who knows the rules of the game and isn't afraid to expose them. So when his comments seem to allude to powerful Hollywood mentorships with questionable boundaries, people paid attention. Will Smith, on the other hand, represents a very different image. For decades, he was marketed as Hollywood's safest superstar, charismatic, family-friendly, talented, and universally loved. From the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air to blockbuster franchises like Men in Black and Bad Boys, Will's career looked almost flawless. Even when personal controversies later emerged, especially surrounding his marriage, many fans still viewed him as a victim of circumstance rather than a manipulator of power. That perception began to shift when old interviews and stories were pulled back into circulation. The most widely discussed connection is Alsina, the R&B singer who publicly claimed he had a relationship with Jada Pinkett Smith, while Will Smith later addressed the situation in his own way. Critics argue that the entire saga cracked open a bigger conversation about power dynamics, emotional vulnerability, and blurred lines in celebrity guidance. Although August never accused Will directly, fans online began to speculate about the environment surrounding the Smith household and the influence it may have had on younger artists. Then there's Bryshere, best known for his breakout role as Hakeem Lyon on the hit TV series Empire. Bryshere's rise was meteoric: overnight fame, critical praise, and massive industry backing. But his fall was just as fast. Legal troubles, erratic behavior, and highly publicized mental health struggles shocked fans who once saw him as the future of television and music. While there is no confirmed professional or personal mentorship link between Will Smith and Bryshere, social media theorists began grouping his story with others as examples of young men entering Hollywood full of promise and leaving broken. This is where 50 Cent's commentary becomes important, not because it proves anything, but because it amplifies a pattern people think they see. In the eyes of critics, Hollywood has a long history of exploiting young talent under the guise of mentorship. Powerful figures often present themselves as protectors, guides, or career saviors. But when things go wrong, those same mentors rarely face scrutiny, while the young stars are labeled unstable, ungrateful, or self-destructive. Supporters of Will Smith strongly push back against these narratives. They argue that internet culture has become addicted to turning coincidence into conspiracy. According to this view, Alsina's situation involved consenting adults and personal choices, not secret agendas. Bryshere's struggles, they say, are rooted in mental health challenges and personal circumstances, not shadowy Hollywood manipulation. Dragging Will Smith's name into unrelated tragedies, they argue, is irresponsible and harmful. Still, skepticism remains. One reason is Hollywood's track record. From the music industry to film and television, there are countless documented cases where young performers were mistreated, exploited, or psychologically damaged by systems meant to develop them. When fans look back at how often early warning signs were ignored or actively silenced, it becomes easier for them to believe that more stories exist beneath the surface. Another factor is 50 Cent's timing. His comments didn't come in a vacuum. They arrived at a moment when public trust in celebrities is at an all-time low. Social media has given former insiders, background players, and overlooked voices a platform to speak out. Audiences are no longer satisfied with polished PR statements. They want transparency, accountability, and honesty. So when someone like 50 Cent hints that there's more to the story, people are already primed to believe him. It's also worth noting that 50 Cent operates in a gray area between truth-telling and provocation. His critics argue that he often exaggerates or implies wrongdoing simply to stay relevant or stir controversy. His supporters counter that humor and trolling are his way of forcing uncomfortable conversations that others are too afraid to start. In either case, his words carry weight, especially when they involve figures as famous as Will Smith. What makes this situation particularly explosive is that no one is making clear on-the-record accusations. Everything exists in implication, interpretation, and internet theory. That ambiguity is dangerous. It allows narratives to grow without evidence. But it also reflects how power in Hollywood often operates quietly, informally, and without documentation. Mentorship deals, personal advice, emotional support, and career favors rarely leave paper trails. As Part 1 closes, one thing is clear. This controversy is less about proving a single claim and more about questioning a system. Are young male stars being protected or pressured by powerful mentors? Where is the line between guidance and control? And why do so many promising talents seem to collapse once the spotlight fades? Whether 50 Cent is exposing hidden truths or simply exploiting existing rumors, his involvement has forced audiences to re-examine the stories they thought they understood. In Part 2, we'll dive deeper into the specific moments, interviews, and social media clues fans believe support these theories, and why Hollywood remains silent when questions get this uncomfortable as the conversation intensified online. Fans didn't just rely on 50 Cent's comments, they went digging. Old interviews, social media posts, and half-forgotten soundbites were pulled from the archives and stitched together into long threads and viral videos. In the court of public opinion, these fragments became evidence, even though none of them proved wrongdoing on their own. What they did reveal, however, was how deeply distrust has taken root when it comes to Hollywood power structures and celebrity. Mentorship. One of the most cited elements in this debate is how often Will Smith has spoken about guiding younger talent. In past interviews, Will openly described himself as someone who enjoys helping emerging artists navigate fame, mental pressure, and the industry's many traps. On its own, that sounds admirably. Many argue it is. But critics now reframe those comments through a darker lens, suggesting that mentorship in Hollywood often comes with unspoken expectations and blurred boundaries. Alsina's past statements continue to fuel that skepticism. When August revealed his relationship with Jada Pinkett Smith, he framed it as something he believed was understood and approved within the Smith family dynamic. While Will later addressed the situation publicly, the emotional toll on August was visible. Fans who already felt uneasy about Hollywood's influence on young artists pointed to August's vulnerability, substance struggles, and career stagnation as signs of deeper damage. Again, no direct accusations were made against Will, but his proximity to the situation kept his name in the discussion. Social media also zeroed in on patterns rather than individuals. Users compiled lists of young black male entertainers who rose rapidly, became closely connected to powerful figures, and later experienced public breakdowns or disappearances from the spotlight. Bryshere Gray's story was frequently included not because of any proven link to Will Smith, but because his trajectory fit what many saw as a familiar Hollywood cycle: intense praise, overwhelming pressure, isolation, and collapse. For critics, the question wasn't who is guilty, but why does this keep happening? 50 Cent added fuel by refusing to clarify his remarks. Instead of denying or confirming anything, he leaned into ambiguity, posting laughing emojis, cryptic captions, and indirect references. This approach kept the story alive and encouraged speculation. Supporters argue that this is exactly how uncomfortable truths are exposed in an industry that punishes whistleblowers. Detractors say it's reckless, allowing reputations to be damaged without accountability. Meanwhile, Hollywood itself remains silent. No major studios, insiders, or longtime collaborators stepped forward to shut down the rumors decisively. That silence, intentional or not, became part of the narrative. For many fans, silence equals complicity. They argue that if everything were truly baseless, powerful PR teams would have moved quickly to kill the story. Others counter that responding would only legitimize internet gossip. Another layer to this controversy is masculinity and vulnerability. Young male stars, especially black men, often expected to be tough, grateful, and emotionally silent. When they struggle, they're labeled unstable or problematic. Critics argue that this environment makes them easy targets for manipulation, whether emotional, financial, or professional. Mentors who position themselves as saviors can gain immense influence over careers and personal lives, sometimes without malicious intent but with damaging consequences. Defenders of Will Smith strongly emphasize this point from a different angle. They argue that Will himself has spoken openly about mental health, pressure, and personal failure, making him more likely to empathize with younger artists rather than exploit them. To them, the idea that he would be involved in anything predatory contradicts decades of public behavior and professional respect. They see the current narrative as a projection of broader industry sins onto one famous name. Still, the controversy refuses to die because it taps into something bigger than Will Smith. It's about trust or the lack of it. Audiences no longer see celebrities as distant icons. They see them as powerful individuals operating in systems with little oversight. When those systems fail, people look for faces to attach to their anger and disappointment. By the end of Part 2, the lines are clearly drawn. On one side are those who believe 50 Cent is hinting at a truth too dangerous to say out loud, using implication as protection. On the other are those who believe this is a cautionary tale about how quickly rumors can spiral into character assassination in the age of social media. What remains undeniable is this: Hollywood's idea of mentorship is under scrutiny like never before, whether or not the names involved deserve it. The public is demanding clearer boundaries, more transparency, and real accountability. In Part 3, we'll examine the consequences of these narratives for the accused, the accusers, and the young artists still trying to survive an industry that thrives on silence. As this controversy reaches its most intense phase, the real impact goes far beyond trending hashtags or viral clips. What 50 Cent ignited, intentionally or not, has become a larger cultural reckoning about power, silence, and survival in Hollywood. By part 3, the focus is no longer just on Will Smith, August Alsina, or Bryshere Gray. It's about what happens when rumors replace transparency and when systems refuse to clearly protect the most vulnerable. One of the most damaging consequences of these narratives is how they affect young artists who are still trying to find their footing. For every star who makes it, dozens more struggle quietly with mental health issues, financial stress, and identity crises caused by sudden fame. When stories like this dominate the conversation, they reinforce a fear that success always comes with hidden costs, that trusting powerful mentors might be dangerous. That fear alone can reshape careers before they even begin. At the same time, public speculation carries real consequences for those being discussed. Will Smith's reputation has already taken multiple hits in recent years. And this latest wave, despite lacking concrete allegations, another layer of suspicion. In today's digital culture, implication often matters more than proof. Once a narrative takes hold, it becomes nearly impossible to fully erase, even if no evidence ever surfaces. This raises a serious question. Where is the line between accountability and character destruction? 50 Cent's role remains polarizing. To his supporters, he is doing what the industry refuses to do, forcing uncomfortable conversations into the open. They argue that history shows many truths were first dismissed as crazy rumors before being confirmed years later. To them, 50's ambiguity is a survival tactic in a business that punishes people who speak too plainly. From this perspective, silence is more suspicious than noise. To critics, however, 50 Cent represents the darker side of entertainment culture, where controversy is currency and reputations are collateral damage. They argue that hinting at serious misconduct without evidence is irresponsible, especially in an era where misinformation spreads faster than facts. For them, this isn't bravery, it's exploitation of public distrust for tension and relevance. What's especially telling is Hollywood's continued lack of response. No clear statements, no industry-wide discussion, no meaningful reform conversations happening publicly. That vacuum allows speculation to thrive. In the absence of transparency, audiences fill in the gaps themselves, often assuming the worst. This silence reinforces the belief that the industry protects power, not people. Another critical layer is how these discussions intersect with masculinity, race, and vulnerability. Black male artists are frequently hyper-visible when they fail and invisible when they need help. When they break down, the system moves on quickly, leaving fans to wonder what went wrong. Whether or not these specific theories are true, they resonate because they align with patterns people have seen again and again. By the end of this story, there may be no definitive truth reveal, no courtroom drama, no shocking confession. And that, ironically, may be the most honest outcome. Hollywood rarely delivers clean endings. Instead, it leaves behind questions, damaged careers, and lessons learned too late. The biggest takeaway from part 3 is this: the public is no longer willing to blindly accept polished images and vague explanations. Audiences want accountability, boundaries, and real protection for young talent. They want mentorship to mean guidance, not control. Support, not silence. Whether 50 Cent exposed something real or simply amplified existing distrust, the conversation he sparked won't disappear. It reflects a cultural shift where power is being questioned and silence is no longer enough. And until Hollywood confronts these issues openly, stories like this will keep resurfacing louder, messier, and harder to ignore. In the end, this isn't just about celebrities. It's about an industry at a crossroads and a public that's finally asking who really pays the price for fame. Now it's your turn to decide. Do you believe 50 Cent is pulling back the curtain on uncomfortable Hollywood truths, or is this another example of how rumors spiral out of control in the age of social media? The lines between mentorship, influence, and manipulation have never been more blurred, and your voice matters in this conversation. If you think the entertainment industry needs more transparency and real accountability, hit the like button to push this discussion further. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss Part 4 style deep dives into the stories Hollywood avoids addressing. And most importantly, drop a comment below. You see a disturbing pattern here? Or do you believe these narratives unfairly target powerful figures without proof? Share this video with someone who follows celebrity news closely and ask them what they think. Healthy debate is how real change starts. Whether you agree or disagree, engaging respectfully helps separate facts from fiction and keeps the focus on protecting young talent from exploitation. The industry thrives on silence, but conversations like this break it. Stay informed, stay curious, and stay critical. The truth doesn't belong to Hollywood insiders. It belongs to everyone watching.